Mall Santas of Reddit, what is the weirdest thing a kid asked for Christmas? I used to be manager at a pet store that would host pet pictures with Santa every year. Naturally, as the largest male at the store, I would dress up as Santa. One afternoon we were doing it, and a pilot walks up to me. When I say pilot, this man looks like he just landed an aircraft, exited the cockpit, and walked into my store. Name tag on and everything. He says, "Listen, I don't have a pet. Can I please take a picture with you?" I say of course. He walks up to me, sits on my lap, has his picture taken, and walks out the door. Never saw him again. I was the kid, didn't ask for anything, but I have a relevant story. When I was like 5 we went to see Santa. This Santa just happened to be an ass. My sly 5-year-old self slipped him €5 and told him to give me better presents than my brothers. He took the money. I told my dad a while later. He kept the €5. 5-year-old me was devastated to hear that was one of Santa's helpers and not the real one. It wasn't a mall, and it wasn't weird, but the moment sure was awkward. My neighbor has this great Christmas display that he and his family put up every year. They usually had me to be Santa because I do a good Santa voice and I'm good with kids. One little girl came up to me and I do the usual "What would you like for Christmas?" She asked if I could bring her daddy back to life for Christmas. It took me by surprise. He was killed in a car accident and this would be her first Christmas without him. Very sympathetically I told her that unfortunately, even though I, Santa, can do many things, bringing her dad back was something I couldn't do. It clearly broke her heart because she probably thought Santa could actually do it. I told her that, even though her daddy may not be with her now, he will always be with her in spirit and he will always love her. I was a Santa in 1997 for a small authentic Old West village. I was 17 at the time and doing some local theater, and the costume lady was asked to find someone to be Santa for the weekend. She told me she thought of me because, well, you're not fat, but you're big. I'm 6 feet 6/198 centimeters. So I put on a cheap costume that didn't fit well, and the beard smelled like the last Santa threw up in it, and I waited in a prop shed in the plaza that was normally a sheriff office or something. Tall, skinny, smelly Santa in a shed sitting on a plastic lawn chair. It was no wonder all the children screamed when they were put on my lap. None of them asked for anything, in fact, as they were too busy being scared of me. I had a pair of girls and later a pair of guys from the local Christian high school dressed as elves on the first day to take Polaroids and collect money. On the second day they flaked and I was by myself all day. I charged people money to enter my creepy shed and take pictures of their own kids. My 9-year-old kid asked for light bulbs. I'm sure Santa wasn't expecting that. Not the weirdest, but my favorite thing I have heard a kid ask for. At my daughter's preschool, there was a Santa. Kids were asking for the usual things, like toys and unicorns. One little girl goes up. You can tell she is thinking really hard. She asks for 2 rolls of tape. Dream big, kid. One year my cousin only asked for tape for Christmas and his birthday. He had created this superhero called Tapeman who saved the world with tape. His mom even made a really awesome costume for him. He definitely got a lot of cool pattern duct tape that year. Worked as an elf for a couple years, and we had this wish jar that you could put slips of paper in. A little girl wrote something down on a piece of paper and folded it and quietly slipped it into the jar. The mom came rushing back after they left asking if we could get the paper out of the jar for her. She unfolded it and in crayon it said, "I want dad to come home." The mother started crying and took it with her. Got some other weird and sad ones, but that one hit me right in the feels. I'm a teacher. I had one of my most difficult obstinate button pusher kids come in at recess to talk to me. He said he was worried he would not get what he really wanted, to be a real elf, move to the North Pole, and make all the presents. He had tears in his eyes, and was the most sincere I had ever seen. Made me really appreciate how hard life was at home. He just wished for a way out. When I was like 9 I wrote a goodbye letter to my parents telling them Santa was going to pick me up and take me to the North Pole. I sat out in our car and waited on Santa to show up and take me away. The most dumb thing about this was that it was the middle of the summer. When he was feeling better, my father-in-law looked just like a real Santa. I used to mess with him around Christmas when we were out and about with a quick, "Rudolph needs to get back to the pole. We need to hurry." I got a lot of really great looks from kids. The best was a shy little girl that came up and asked for some specific doll. Without missing a beat, he says, "I'm not sure what the heck that is, but I'll have Legolas look into it." He always acted grumpy about it, but we all know he loved every second. My dad also looks like a Santa. Amusingly, he dresses more like a Hell's Angel or cowboy. He never was a biker or anything, but big guy, long hair, leather jacket. So many kids would be like, "Look, Mom, Santa," or "It's a cowboy," and the parent would turn to look, and just a look of "oh no" on their face and rush the kids off. Honestly, Dad is a big softie, so he is amused by both reactions. He told me recently a guy came up to him and said, "I've been real good this year," and Dad replied, "Okay, what do you want her to look like?" And the guy gave him a weird look and said, "Oh, I'm not into that." And then later Dad saw him walking arm in arm with another guy. Pretty sure Dad was being hit on. There was a joke a radio host told that I heard about 10 years ago or so. There was a mall Santa and this kid, and the kid wanted a Tonka truck that had a hitch or crane/hook or something, and when it comes time to tell Santa what he wants, the kid says, "I want a truck with a hooker." I was an assistant manager for a mall Santa with no programs. There was a special needs 20-something black guy that would come by nearly every day. He easily weighed more than 250 pounds, so we did eventually convince him to sit next to Santa instead of on his lap. Every time he had to remind Santa what he wanted for Christmas. His list was Home Alone on DVD, Straight Outta Compton on DVD, and Prince's 1999 album on CD. Santa was awesome and brought him the Prince CD a few days before Christmas. My 3-year-old son asked Santa once for a baby rhino. Santa told him that the baby rhino's mama would be very sad to lose her baby though. Then my son said, "Okay, well, I'll take the mama too. Maybe she can sleep in my mom's bed." Not a Santa, but I have been a Mrs. Claus for the last few years, and I always ask the kids what they want while we do our crafts. My favorite was this 4 to 5-year-old girl that told me she wanted one of those loud horns. She made a gesture like she was using those canned air horns, and she made a little horn sound. She said she wants to use it to wake up her baby brother when he naps in the daytime, so he knows what it's like. Grew up as a military brat with 2 older brothers. In Berlin, there was something called Snowball Satellite on military TV, and kids could meet Santa, I think. I was like 1.5 years old, so I only know details from what I've been told, and then later watching the show on VHS, because we taped it. So anyway, my one brother was on Snowball Satellite, like 5 years old, and he made wishes for all of us, and when he started to say what he wanted for his little sister, me, he said he wanted some hair. Long contemplative pause, ribbons, which is ironic either way, because I was a baby with barely any hair. Could have used some hair on my baby noggin, but hair ribbons wouldn't have made sense, because there wasn't enough hair. Anyways, my mom really loves telling this story and cracks up every time. Probably a bit late to the show, but when I was super young, old Uncle Nick asked me with a microphone what I wanted for Christmas in front of the village crowd. Apparently I confidently asked for the world, to a response of nervous laughter. Luckily the Father Christmas knew exactly what I wanted and gave me a globe. Kept it for years. So I was an elf a few years ago, got to overhear a pretty good one. A very sweet little girl climbed on Santa's lap and asked for a reindeer egg. She was pretty sure that because reindeer flew, that meant they were some kind of bird and birds hatch from eggs. Anyhow, she promised to take good care of the reindeer hatchling when it arrived, and to keep it warm, and play with it, and make sure it was loved. Parents assured us they had already gone to a shelter to adopt a dog that week. They thought she would be happier with a nice dog who loves kids. I thought it was a good compromise. Santa told the little girl that reindeer need to live in the snowy areas for a while and be with their parents, but maybe when she got older she could visit reindeer. I hope she liked her dog. When I was little I had a toy kitchen, and I had lost the plastic knife. I wanted a new toy knife to play kitchen with. When I sat on Santa's lap, and he said, "What would you like for Christmas?" I shouted at the top of my lungs. A knife. My parents had to clarify that their 3-year-old did not want a dangerous weapon for Christmas. I don't know why I shouted it. I think I was emphasizing that I really wanted a toy knife. That is it for today. Thanks for watching. Do all the YouTube stuff and I'll see you all tomorrow.